I'm the writer, director, producer on What If Batman. It was a passion project. I'm Samuel Ali. It was something I really put a lot of heart and soul into for many years. It was something we did with my children's program. It's a nonprofit I have where we invite kids to set and we let them shoot one scene a day. This was shot on a 3-day period, so they did 3 of the scenes you saw. We actually shot it on a Bolex, which was a 16 millimeter camera, so it was a film. It was a learning experience. That was the whole kind of goal of the film, was to get these kids to have hands-on experience doing actual film. I wrote the story myself. I spent about 6 years researching comic book characters, not really with the purpose. And this is kind of what came out of it. There are a plethora of Easter eggs, all kinds of Batman references from all kinds of things. Obviously, it's a Flashpoint story with the Thomas Wayne element. Sorry, walkie-talkie in my ear.
Okay.
Yeah, one of my studio teachers is on. I'm not sure if she's watching. I'm not sure if she can chime in, but she was also. We all had mini roles on this film. We probably had a crew about 20, and so everyone was doing about 3 things a piece. A lot of industry professionals on it, and then a lot of up and coming people. I mean, our students. We had a college intern. We had most of our students are about 10 to 12 years old, so they're pretty young. We had 4 that were on the film. They were kind of my star students that have done multiple projects with us over the past. We've done about an hour of content of short films over the past 3 years or so. And we even hosted a summer camp in 2019 where they got to write and direct their own short film right before COVID. And we're growing. We've already made 1 more since this, and we made 1 this year for Louisiana. And it's really exciting.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. So you went ahead and actually gave experience to kids here. How old were they to actually be part of this?
About 10 to 12. I think, some of them started us when they're 8 years old and have been with us for about 2 years. We tend to get the middle school age children more. My original goal was to try and get more high school kids involved, but it seems they're distracted with hormones at that time. So right. We have had high school kids. We have had college students. We had an infant on the last set, which was interesting. That was our first time to have an actual baby. My big thing I really do is teach the parents the rules and regulations for SAG and how many hours the children can be allowed on set. That's why we only let them shoot 1 scene and maybe act in another if possible. Our focus is really the filmmaking side and not the acting side. We still let them, if it's possible, happen. But yeah, I mean, these 4 that we had been with us multiple times. Daniela, Steffi, and Devin. They're so smart. It is incredible to watch these kids in action, and then to see the parents watching their kids in action. It can bring a tear to the eye. We've been lucky. We've had some big come to support us. On this film, we had Wally Welch. He's a famous cowboy. He played Alfred. And that scene, he's been in, about 100 films like The Magnificent Seven. We also had Lorelei Linklater. She's the daughter of director Richard Linklater. She played Harley Quinzel, the pharmacist. So the story kind of came about. I found a fan theory posted online. Like, what if Batman was the crazy one and he was in Arkham? And this whole Batman idea was something in his own head, to where all the villains are the doctors and the patients in the asylum with him. And so every character you see in the film is some Batman character. We had Mr. Freeze playing the AC repairman. Black Mask was our warden. I played Dr. Jonathan Crane as the neurologist. We had Mad Hatter as the hypnotherapist. I mean, the list goes on. We did a little twist on Joe Chill. I made him a mutant from the Batman Returns comics. And the lines, I mean, there's so many lines that are pulled either from the movies or the comics themselves. Mr. Freeze's lines is straight out of the comic book. Deadshot's lines, Slade's lines, the lines that are being spoken in the alleyway between Martha and Thomas are actually from Batman Brave and the Bold, where Adam West voiced Thomas. So, I mean, there's so many Easter eggs I couldn't list them all. I lost count. But I made it for the fans. I made it for true Batman hardcore fans to get a kick out of. One thing I can say about shooting on a 1960s Bolex camera is it's very loud. We had a lot of ADR, a lot of sound problems, issues that we tinker with constantly still. Well, one of the workarounds we did was we would roll sound on rehearsal. So we tried to capture as much ADR on set as possible, but still had to do some ADR in post, and still couldn't work out all the kinks with the sound. But
Okay. Yeah, I was noticing that. I was just the quality of the film. How did you actually get to manage with, I guess, the conversion rate to the HD platform here?
Sure. It's funny because the 2K scan of the film from Kodak was more expensive than the development of the film.
Oh my gosh.
Film it's an interesting medium. A lot of people are excited about 4K these days when they don't realize that 70 millimeter film is 16K. 35 millimeter film, which they shot most films in the 80s and 90s with, is 8K. And that's how all these old films are getting these 4K films. And sorry, I'm getting the COVID. Jordan's on set. He's in the garage.
Oh, tell him I'm here.
All right, copy. Hey, Jordan, Pepper's here for you. Yay, never stops.
Yes. You never sleep.
Yeah, we are working a Wednesday through Sunday shift on this Hulu show that I'm working right now, and luckily my POC is covering for me while I'm sitting in the production van.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for taking this time.
Oh, no, thank you for having me. This is one of the ones I was looking the most forward to. I had researched a ton of fan film festivals, and so we were truly excited to be a part of this one.
Thank you. That's very humbling.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, when I went to do the crowdfunding, we raised money on Seed and Spark. We raised about $15,000 online to shoot this film because of all the production design that was involved, how deeply complex I went with the costumes, with the backdrops, and then to have the ability to shoot on film. And then I insist on paying people, so everyone did get some kind of pay. And if they refuse pay, they got an associate producer credit. So, we can't pay a lot. We can't compete with the union rates, but, we were shooting kind of in the middle of nowhere in Texas at this historic jail. And so I at least wanted people to not lose money by coming out and working on it. We did offer housing and a small kind of, I like to think of it as like a gas stipend instead of a day rate, but
yeah, that would definitely help in Texas.
Yeah, it's about an hour east of Dallas as this Anderson County jail. It's owned by a local couple, and their whole family lives in the jail. They all appeared in the film. The mom was Catwoman, Selena Kyle. The son played Damian Wayne, the bastard. And then The husband was one of the security guards, and the grandfather was the old man inmate pacing in the background of the group therapy scene.
Wow. So
So he
people
was,
actually live in this jail.
they live there full time. Yeah, it's a museum, and then every Christmas they turn it into a Grinch themed fun house.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
I had shot a feature there as a first assistant director, and I brought JJ Gauthier. He was the DP on this film, on that film with me as a second AD, and the Airbnb was so full, we decided to see if we could just sleep at the jail instead of sleeping at the Airbnb. And we made friends with the family. And JJ had talked for over a year about shooting something on film. And he had done 8mm, and I had never done film. And while we're standing there at the jail, the grandfather pulled out a 16mm camera out of the closet, and that sparked the whole idea. I was looking at the Gothic infrastructure, and I was like, this could really be Arkham Asylum, and we really want to reuse this set. And that's how I base writing my films. And I work with what we can do instead of writing something that will become impossible. Since I've been making films for so long, that's kind of what I've learned over the years.
Okay. Well, being that you had, I guess, you went ahead and mentioned that you used basically the Flashpoint version of Thomas and Martha Wayne. Um, I'm pretty sure people should know about it now already. It's a pretty famous, animated movie, and the comic books were amazing. Uh, when you designed the wife's smile, as you know in the comic book, she does actually cut herself. Uh, did you actually like? I guess in your if you're in your mind, like, did you actually envision like the white as like the powder that actually kind of heals the wounds and all that, or was it literally just supposed to be paint? Because either or would have been like amazing to me because I never thought of that. Like in order to actually cover a cut, I've seen it before. You go right ahead and use some sort of powder to at least like help it heal because the wound won't actually close so quickly, depending on the size of the gash. So I'm sorry, I'm just like overthinking over this, but I'm just
No,
like,
absolutely. I did the that prosthetic myself with my girlfriend's help. She was also one of our studio teachers. I'd sent you guys a time lapse video of us applying it. I really just used the white to give it that Joker-esque feel with the dark circles and then the spraying her hair green. We really wanted to kind of keep that as the big reveal at the end. Um, I hadn't thought of it like that, of using it to like kind of cover up the scars, but I do know that Martha Wayne was the one that had the Glasgow smile, the one that inspired Heath Ledger. Um, Unfortunately, not that many people know about the Martha Joker, and it was supposed to be in the Flashpoint movie before they weren't going to do it, and now they have done the Flash movie. And so my whole goal when I was making this was like, oh, we got to beat that movie. We got to beat it. I want to be the first live action Martha Joker out there. And so if they don't know it, I'm hoping this will introduce a lot of people to it. That film you mentioned, the animated version of Flashpoint Paradox,
yes,
that kicked off those animated films, is one of the biggest influences on the storytelling, because that was what I researched. I watched everything animated for 6 years, from
yeah,
every cartoon show to every movie, Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, whatever. Because that was our kind of next goal. We want to do a cartoon in the future,
yes.
and so there's so much I could just ramble.
No, please. I love the rambling. I usually have to ask like as many questions as possible because, filmmakers, they're creatives, and a majority of creatives are introvert. They prefer holding the camera and writing the script and just acting. And to have somebody so verbal is just, a rarity. So thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate this.
Another thing I did with the film was I went to Six Flags, where Warner Brothers, has the DC rights, and I sat next to the Batman ride and wrote the story at the park.
Oh,
And I used the energy of the people around me to kind of help influence, me writing the story, because it had been in my head, with all this stuff I'd been accumulating and putting together, and I'd come up with the basis in my head. A lot of it, I took straight from these fan theories online that I found, this what if Batman. And so, to answer the question, if anyone's curious, what is the what if Batman? It's what if, he's the crazy one? What if, you know, Alfred was the dad? That was kind of a big twist. And then just what if? There's so many possibilities. And that's kind of I put in that amalgam comics animation at the beginning, which a lot of people don't know about, as there's a time in the late 90s period where they amalgamated DC and Marvel, where they had comic book characters come together, and they had sort of them sharing the page, but they also combined characters. There's a character called Dark Claw, which is Wolverine and Batman put together.
yeah.
It's kind of one of my dream stories. That was what I was thinking about doing with my cartoon, possibly one of the story ideas.
It's wonderful. Yeah, I remember those comics. I especially love the romance between Jubilee and Robin.
Right.
Those are fantastic. I love those scenes.
They have that same color scheme. It's hilarious.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that was like so funny to actually see. But
And I threw that in with the Robin, that little color scheme with his hat and his undershirt, and there's little details, all these characters in my film.
thank you for that. So that was quite nice actually. It was a good touch.
No, thank you.
Loved it. Um, what was the other question I had? Oh, was this who who was your cameraman? Like I don't know. I don't think like any of your kids actually got to touch the camera, did they? Or
I brought in a DP from Savannah, Georgia. No, it was Atlanta, Georgia. I worked on this feature called Sebastian, and the second AD was telling me about how he was making a Western, and that he shoots everything on 16. And I was like, oh, that's funny. I'm, producing this film, and I need a 16 millimeter camera. So I hired him right away as the camera operator. Um, his name escapes me at the top of my head, but he was a grad student at SCAD, and he was about to do his thesis project for graduation.
oh,
And Westerns are kind of one of our specialties that we've been making with the kids. That's what they made in summer camp, and also what we've been making for a few years before that. Um, Gosh, I wish I could think of his name right now, and I wish I had a call sheet to pull up. But like JJ Gauthier, who was my director of photography, he was someone I'd been working with for a few years. He edited this film too. He was the one that was pushing to do a 16 millimeter film, and so he was kind of in charge, while the owner of the camera was my camera op. But it was a Bolex, and I don't know if you're familiar with 16s, but that's kind of like a classic treasure that people are kind of get wowed by whenever I mention that. They're like, oh, wow. But the one thing I could say is super loud. It makes a lot of noise. I wish I'd learned that to cover it with a sound blanket while they shot. Something someone told me later, the way I could have reduced some of the noise is to kind of smother the camera. But it's interesting. I believe it cost about, I don't know, we shot to a 4-to-1 ratio with the film, meaning we had 4 times as much film as the final edit would be. So since the film was supposed to be around 12 minutes long, we had 48 minutes length of film that we bought. And It was about, I want to say about $400 for the film itself, and then it was about $400 for the development, but it was another like $500 for a 2K scan. We had to ship it to Atlanta. They gave us quite a deal. They gave us a student rate, so I'm sure it actually costs a little bit more than that. But they actually are really willing to work with anyone, and there's only a couple houses that actually still develop film. The other one, I believe, is in Burbank in near LA. I think there's one in New York as well, but it's kind of a rare thing to find. Um, what else about it? It's the goal kind of, we've done a lot of 48-hour film projects over the years, and we were curious on how to do film in a 48-hour period. And what we learned was to do 16, we would have to shoot in a city with same day developing, like Atlanta or LA, but we could shoot 8 millimeter and develop it in buckets ourselves. And then we could project it and capture the projection with a DSLR and scan it ourselves. So it was really a learning tool, not just for our kids, but for pretty much everyone on set, besides our cameraman that uses these all the time. But that was the goal. I'm working today, and I spoke to the cameraman here, and he's like, "Oh, I've never done film," and here we are on a Hulu show, and it's rare these days.
Not bad. Not bad. When dealing with the lighting in such a close proximity, how were you guys able to manipulate that?
I mean, I rented a full lighting package, from one of the electricians I works on like Fear the Walking Dead out of Austin. He gives us a great deal as well. There we covered a lot of the windows because everything was supposed to take place at night. We shot nights, truly. It rained pretty much the whole time we filmed, which was fun. But there, it's I just have to give it up to my key grip and gaffer Christopher Joseph Knight and his team that just shaped and manipulated it and worked in the confined spaces we had, having shadows through bars, having, top sourced light, trying to make things dramatic, and really, she's telling me who Alan Childress was my director, or my cameraman out of Atlanta. Alan Childress was his name, the camera owner. Sorry.
Oh, please, thank you.
My studio teacher just commented on the thing. Elisa, are you on the call? Can you chime in?
Yes.
Yeah. This is Elisa Ruiz. She's one of our studio teachers, but also one of our amazing chefs. She supplied all the craft services and catering on this film. Can you give a little bit about what we've done with the kids and kind of your perspective on this thing that I've been dreaming and making?
Oh my gosh, it's just amazing. As a teacher, I work in classrooms with kids all the time, but to see them just in a weekend be able to learn something new and then put it into practice, see them actually doing it, is just amazing. These kids have learned so much, and they are it's just wonderful to see. So,
what kind of problems have you had cooking for us, and anything like that? Any problems you've had with our just hurdles? Great moment.
I mean, there's always things that pop up, but I mean, it's just sometimes there isn't always a place to cook there where we are, and so trying to find somewhere else to do things and then bring it over. But on the Batman set, I just had so much fun. I took over the kitchen in that jailhouse, and for me, it was one of the best weekends I've had in forever. And then there's so many people are always willing to help out, like here, like, oh, let me help you bring this out, let me help you here. And then, I mean, everybody works together um, on these sets and stuff. I mean, nobody's like really like, oh, this is only what I do. Like everybody works to help out. Like everybody wants us to succeed. And so everyone just does whatever they can.
What are the questions that your kids actually have asked you in this whole process that kind of like stuck out to you? So you got, this is practically them growing not only as adults or children to be adults someday, and but also as talents.
One of the best question that I will never forget. We were making a film, and the small girl turned to me and asked if we were shooting in the rule of thirds, and my heart melted. I was like, "We are now." Yes. We've done intensive training with these kids. We've explained storytelling and how to break down a story itself. We've talked about camera. We've talked about angles. We've talked about all kinds of things. We've have them do sound a lot. We have them on the boom pole. We've had them mix. Usually we'll take our brightest and we'll have them assistant direct. We'll have them call rolls. We'll have them call cut. We'll have them kind of run the show, and then we tend to put our youngest on slate and let them call slate. On the last film we did, our older child pulled focus on the shot because it was a rack focus shot we were doing. So they have done it all. For questions they've asked, everyone wants to know how to break in. And so I have kind of like a PA training boot camp, and I explain to people that, to work on the big time union films, you have to start as a production assistant. And that's something no one taught me. For 10 years, I thought I was a big time director before I even knew what a PA was or an AD was. And so it's teaching them things that they really need to know to be on a professional set. We have walkies. Well, we've taught them how to talk over walkie, how to copy and, call for things and change channels and who's on what channel. We did a film that was all animals with a voiceover. We had Ben Stein play donkey voice on that one. He's one of our supporters. He gave us a small bit of money that we used on our last film we just made. So when working in the industry full-time professionally like I do, I kind of like to tell people that this is kind of my philanthropy. It's my way I kind of give back to the community. I was trained early on that if I didn't do free films forever, I would stop growing. I always needed to give back and do something. So this was kind of what I started. After losing a lot of friends, after trying to teach my friends how to work, and am realizing that this isn't for everyone. So these kids that we've got, this is something they're really passionate about, not just them, but their parents. Their parents are also very passionate about what we're doing, and they want their kids to succeed, and I'm trying to teach them, a career, a profession. I explained to them, you don't need to go to college to do this, but I encourage them all to go to college to get a good set of life skills. Tell them to take something easy, not to take film itself, but, do humanities, do something. I took finance, which was very difficult, but it's helped me a lot when it comes to producing and managing large endeavors.
That's brilliant. Well done, sir. No, I do understand that. I do understand that, especially with the losing friends part. Entertainment in itself is really hard work. It's intense. It's not a 9 to 5, and it requires passion. People have to believe in the project in order to actually keep it going, and it's confusing to people because obviously everyone wants to actually earn the money like right after they clock out. And film in itself sometimes takes, you know, the end of the production or even 3 months after it's even released. And the royalties actually do pay themselves off. They do. So well done. And I'm very happy that you actually chose a fan film to actually teach kids how this filming because how do I put it? Like a lot of people have a hard time relating to independent films when they don't know the source, they don't know the artists, they don't follow that trend. And fan films actually is a good bridge to actually allow people to just recognize the characters already. And when they see the, you know, the movie, no matter who makes it, they're willing to actually talk. It's a community. And that is a pretty good, you know, in for anybody in any age. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. If you have any more words of encouragement, we will, you know, we will be moving forward to the next film.
I just, you know, persistence is the key to this business. You know, if this is what you want to do it. You know, my dad didn't understand for 10 years, and it wasn't until I could pause the television and say, "Look, Dad, it's my name in the credits." So it's not for everyone, but it's a great business, and hopefully we'll be seeing you again soon with something else that we do.
Well, I look forward to that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Elisa. Thank you, Samuel. And have a good day. And please enjoy the festival.
No, we have. Thank you. We'll be here.
Thank you.